Okay, so now looking at number 3, because what we just did above with that identity, I remember tangent squared theta plus 1 is equal to secant squared theta, right? And cosine squared minus 1, what does that equal? So I'm going to write that identity over here on the side for myself, which you can't see. So that's cosine squared plus sine squared equals 1. So I have that identity over there. How do I get this to be cosine squared minus 1? Well, I subtract 1, but in order to get the sine squared on the other side, I have to subtract it, which means this is equal to negative sine squared theta. If you need more explanation on that, ask me. I'm happy to help you with that. So then I know secant squared is 1 over cosine squared theta. So that is times negative sine squared theta. And remember, that's kind of over an invisible 1, because when we multiply fractions, you do top by top and bottom by bottom. So I'm left with negative sine squared theta over cosine squared theta, which is just negative tangent squared theta, which is equal to negative tangent squared theta. So either way you write it, if you just show, like how we did up top, at the end that it works out, or over here, just showing that check mark that it works out, I'm fine with any of those options. Okay. So then here with tangent plus cotangent, and I notice that I'm ending up with a secant and a cosecant, which is just 1 over cosine, 1 over sine. So I'm imagining these, I'm going to go ahead and change into sine and cosine again. So remember, that's your default. If nothing else works, try that. But as you've noticed, most of these require that anyway, or some form of identity usage. Okay, so cosine theta plus cosine over sine. These are those reciprocal identities. Okay, so now let's just go ahead and get that common denominator. So multiply all of this by sine over sine. Multiply this by cosine over cosine in order to get that common denominator. Okay, then we're left with sine squared plus cosine squared. I'm kind of skipping the step where you have the separate fractions and just combining it where we have the common denominator, since we know that's what we're going to do. If you need that step showed separately, I'm happy to do that with you. So now what do we have in the numerator? One of our identities. That is all equal to 1. So we're left with 1 over sine theta cosine theta. So remember that each of these are just things that can be flipped to the top using those reciprocal identities. So we're left with cosecant, oops, it's not cosecant, cosecant theta times secant theta. Order doesn't matter for that. Make sure that's times, does not look like a minus, and you got it.